Is it better now since you reset the routing? So, okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Mind Your Puckin' Business with your host, Jeffrey Krentzman.
Thank you, Dougie Sticks. How are you, sir?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, whatever time you're listening to us out there. Coming
Absolutely.
to you, as always, from the beautiful studios of Undefeated Media here in Bergen County, New Jersey. This is the Mind Your Puckin' Business podcast, brought to you, of course, by our good friends at Sonnet Financial Technologies. This is episode 49, Cuarenta y Nueve on the Spanish dial. Little smoother than my Spanish mix-up there last week, for those that heard the last week's show. You can send us questions anytime at mypbshow@gmail.com. And we will answer some questions today as the Rangers questions have come flooding in. I would say flooding maybe is not the right word, but pouring would not work either. Let's just say they've been coming in. The Ranger
Why does
question,
everything have to deal with water?
I don't know. It's just the analogy. It's the analogy of the day. And if you're out there, chances are you're listening to us either on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, or iTunes. So we thank you for your listenership as always. And how are we today, Dougie Sticks? How we doing?
I think we're good. You know, the freshest of freshest Wi-Fi was a little stale today.
We do.
So reset it.
For those of you that watch us live on YouTube, you know that we generally go on, I would say, close to the top of the hour, 10 o'clock on Tuesday mornings. Yeah. We're about 15 minutes behind due to Wi-Fi issues here in the studio today. So we apologize if we ruined and inconvenienced your day.
We hope you could see us okay, hear us okay. Please let us know in the comments. Brian is doing a quality check right now. It's loading.
Okay.
That's a scary thought.
Not a scary thing. Okay.
All right. But we're live. It says we're on. I hope you guys can see us.
I can hear you. And so that's a good sign.
Brian gives us thumbs up.
Thumbs up. We're good to go. Here we go. So you and I, we've been doing this podcast now. We'll get into sports in a minute. But you and I, we've been doing this now for 14 months. I don't think it has ever happened in the 14-month history that I have seen you outside of this building. Right.
True.
Until
yes. Before you go further, no. This is that would be the first time. But if it's not an episode, it didn't happen. So it's 49 weeks.
Right. Okay. 49. That's right. So
if it's not an episode, like if it's not on Facebook, it didn't happen.
So this past weekend, my wife and I were at an event.
Yes.
And as I got into tent, now again, I had advance warning this was going to happen, so I wasn't going to be like I was like starstruck here.
Yes.
But as we strolled into an event on Saturday night to celebrate a friend's birthday, there you were with the producer B-Rock photographing the event. So I got to see you outside the studio. I feel like it was my lucky weekend.
It was great.
It was good. Great. It was cool.
We should do it more often.
We should. Well, I mean, someone is getting married.
But not like me working.
Right. Is your wedding, though, considered working? Because that's coming up.
I mean, kind of, yeah. I got to go around, say my hellos. I got to work the room.
But
you're
a pro at that.
Yeah, it's it's easy. But like I think we should maybe go to a game or go to the bar and watch a game, play Chell while watching a game.
There we go. My son would like that. He would join him. So the New York Rangers season got started. We spent the last really 2 weeks here doing a season preview episode with Dan Rosen of NHL.com. We did a lot of preview last week. So I hosted, I don't know if I told you this, last week we were on Tuesday, and I hosted a Instagram Live for Ranger fans Tuesday night, which was beyond packed. I couldn't keep up with the questions coming in. Nice. I have to, when I do this again, I'm going to have to be better at it. So we've spent so much time on the Ranger preseason that now, a week into the season, we actually have like substance to talk about instead of previews.
Yeah.
So the Rangers start their season last Wednesday down in Washington. But before we get there, let's talk about the big news that's gone on with this team, because there's always news with the Rangers. It always finds them. We're always that organization that has something happen that you don't want to deal with every year. And you ready?
Yeah.
So Vitaly Kravtsov was a guy, the highly rated prospect drafted in the 9th pick overall in the 2018 draft. So first round pick with our first pick in that draft only 3 years ago. And when the rosters came out last week, he did not make the team, which was a surprise to many. We talked about it on the show. Well, when we were on Tuesday in the morning, it really was the sort of thing. Well, he's getting sent down to the AHL affiliate, minor leagues for the Rangers, which are the Hartford Wolfpack, and he will be back in a matter of time when someone gets hurt or put on the COVID quarantine list, which we're going to talk about because that's happened already. On this team. So he'll be back in no time, right? We'll be back. He would have been back by today.
Yeah.
What comes out later that day on Tuesday? Vitaly Kravtsov is refusing to go to Hartford and has instead asked for a trade.
Oh wait, so he would have been back, but now he's being a little pansy.
He's back in
and
Russia.
Now he's in Russia now.
Left. He's in Russia.
He got pissed. Didn't want to go down there. He would have been back on the team playing now.
Right.
And
so when the story first came out on Tuesday, and I will include myself in this discussion, you would be annoyed because you don't want to get rid of Vitaly Kravtsov. Here's a guy that was rated high. We still don't really know what he is, but there's the ceiling for him is pretty high, so you don't want to get rid of him, right? So as the week went on and you kind of saw some of these actions and you kind of read about some of the behaviors that Vitaly Kravtsov and his agent has displayed, you kind of now sit here and say to yourself, well, I don't really know if I want this guy on my team to come back.
Yeah, you don't want him in the locker room.
Now, it certainly appears he's never going to play again with the New York Rangers. And
it escalated that fast.
It escalated that fast and out of control. So, but let's look at this a little bit deeper. If you're going to probably have to trade him at this point. But here's the thing that a lot of people are missing out on. You don't know if Vitaly Kravtsov is going to be good, and you don't know if he's not going to be good. You can sit here and make assumptions, but here's how you know this is true, that you don't really know. Chris Drury, who's the general manager of the Rangers, if Vitaly Kravtsov was going to be good, if they believed that he was going to be great and live up to his billing of the 9th overall pick in a draft, would he make the team to start the season? Of course he would. He wouldn't have been sent down to Hartford. So you can't tell me that Chris Drury believes he's going to be great, right? Here's the other thing. If you knew he was going to be bad and you knew he wasn't going to be good, Chris Drury would have traded him sometime in the last year
before they sent him down
when his value was high.
Yeah.
So you really don't know what Vitaly Kravtsov is going to be. Now, there have been a lot of reports that have said that in the phone calls that Chris Drury has taken from other teams that are now interested in trading for him, and there's been a plethora of phone calls to get him, is that the Rangers are now asking for a top 6 forward in return, which let me explain what that means for you in case you may not know what that means.
Sure.
Top 6 forward means
you're actually going to play the game.
Well, they're going to play on one of the top 2 lines because there's 3 forwards on the line. So you're asking for a lot in return. Now, the issue is, or the question really that needs to be answered, is the general manager on the other phone that's going to try and get Vitaly Kravtsov, do they feel comfortable giving up a top 6 forward? They would have to be on the side that says, well, we think Vitaly Kravtsov is going to be great. So this is now just a messy situation that no team really wants or needs for that matter. And you're now going to have to sit and wait. It does not appear that Vitaly Kravtsov is coming back here. Now, let me throw a wild idea at you, and it is a topic that we do not like talking about on the show, and I know you do not like talking about on the show. Let's go back to the summer when the Jack Eichel stuff was going, rampant, and we were getting annoyed with it. What was the one name that was rumored that the Buffalo Sabres were interested in getting from the Rangers that the Rangers didn't want to part with? Vitaly Kravtsov.
Wow.
So now,
get Eichel, baby.
Maybe. Well, it's not that simple because you've now re-signed Mika Zibanejad, so you would have to get Buffalo to eat some of the salary, which it doesn't sound like it's going to happen. But if there is some way to make a positive ending to a messy situation, if you could somehow include Kravtsov now in a deal, because it certainly appeared Buffalo was interested in him, and you can pry away Jack Eichel, that may be the sort of way to make the Vitaly Kravtsov ending. But this now is a mess, dude. Right away. I mean, literally, this story drops the day before the season. It's just typical New York Rangers.
I feel like the guy's shooting himself in the foot.
He is. He's not helping his value.
Yeah.
Now, he's going to get someone's going to trade for him, right? Has the talent, and as I mentioned, he does have a pretty high ceiling, so he is going to get a shot in the NHL with someone.
He didn't make the team.
He didn't make the team, but supposedly some of the reports were that the Rangers told him he needed to go to Hartford and rehab an injury that he sustained in training camp, and he would be back soon. Now, let's fast forward to the week, okay? We have Capo Caco, who's already been injured. Ryan Strome has been on the COVID list for 3 days. And by the way, if the Rangers are and I don't want to get into medical talk because it's not what I do, and we don't want to speculate in someone's medical condition either. But if the Rangers are 100% vaccinated and Ryan Strome remains in COVID protocol, doesn't he have to be COVID positive? Because if you were vaccinated, why would you be in COVID, right? So you would have had 2 opportunities either to fill for Capo Caco or Ryan Strome, and you would have been back. And now, because he is on the Russian territory across the pond, he won't be back, and it doesn't sound like he's ever playing in a New York Ranger uniform. So the Ranger season starts last Wednesday night in Washington. Now, everybody was all big about this. Ryan Reeves is coming. He's going to kick Tom Wilson's ass because he, the whole Artemi Panarin situation back in the spring. And usually, a lot of times, I feel like in sports, and not just in hockey, but when a certain situation like that is played and hyped up, it's a lot of times it just doesn't happen, and it's just falsely advertised. And there was not a fight at all. It wasn't even the most physical game to begin with. The Rangers opening night looked bad in Washington. I will say this: if you watch the game on Wednesday night, they didn't look bad until the second half of the game. They started the game pretty well. They played well in the beginning. Matter of fact, they had a power play about a minute into the game. Adam Fox almost scored on a wrist shot right away and did not. And the Rangers just didn't look great. They came home the following night for their home opener versus Dallas Stars. They lost in overtime, but they were clearly the better team. They deserved 2 points. But what happens when a team starts with 0-1 and an overtime loss? So you start your first two games with a loss. Did people panic?
Of course they do.
Panic.
Yes.
Oh my God, Gerard Gallant is not the right fit for the team. How did they hire him? The Rangers stink. What should we do in the offseason already? Who are we going to look for at the trading deadline at the end of February? And then, wouldn't you know, as hockey always seems to balance itself out, the Rangers go up to Montreal on Saturday night, which is a very tough place to play. Playing in Montreal on a Saturday night is like a religious experience up there. The Rangers went into the Canadiens home opener. Now, I missed the entire game. I was with you at this event, actually. Yes. So I didn't see the game. I was following it on my phone. They won 3-1. From looking at some of the highlights and some of the things I read, they played well. So they evened it out, 1-1. Last night, they go into Toronto, who is look at you, you're jazzed up. You've done your homework. I like it. So they go into Toronto last night without Capo Caco, without Ryan Strome.
Didn't need him.
Lineup shuffle galore. Yeah. And the Rangers beat the Maple Leafs 2-1 in overtime. Now, I said on Thursday night the Rangers lost in overtime and deserved to win. Last night they won in overtime, and probably in fairness they didn't deserve to win. Igor Shesterkin stood on his head with 40 saves, and some of these saves were unbelievable. If you are of the mindset, and some people are because the jury is out on this, that Igor Shesterkin is not going to be the real deal going forward, you need to watch last night's game. Nice. Because if you watch last night's game and his 40-save performance in Toronto, and not even just the 40 saves, but the quality of some of those 40 saves, I think you're going to find yourself pretty impressed with Igor Shesterkin. Nice. Now, I was watching the game with my wife last night. Yeah. And it was a third period, and it was 1-1. And again, the Rangers had not been the better team last night. So I had said to Jess, I said, look, this is the type of game, you just get to overtime, get out of here with a point, and you take it. And I said something, and it was, Artemi Panarin, who was, our leading goal scorer for the last few seasons, has no goals and looks lost. Like he's just, when you watch him with the puck, he's hesitating, he's not shooting, it just kind of seems unsure of himself. Who scores the overtime goal?
He does, of course.
on a beautiful setup with Mika Zibanejad and Adam Fox in the 3-on-3 overtime out there. So hopefully that gets Panarin going. Again, we're not going to sit here and panic over 4 games, but he just hasn't looked great. So a couple takeaways early on in the season. Keandre Miller looks really good. I would almost go as far as to say, and I watched the entire game last night, that I do think last night may have been Keandre Miller's best game in a Ranger uniform to date. Not just the 4 games of the season. I thought he was excellent last night. Adam Fox, again, if you didn't know why he won the Norris Trophy as the best defenseman in the entire NHL, if you've seen some of the things he's done in the first 4 games, you are reminded as to why he is the Norris Trophy winner. He has been good. Nice. Lafreniere scored a goal, kind of cool. His first
Nice.
goal of the season was Saturday night in Montreal, which was his first game ever playing in his home province of Quebec, where he's from.
Mhm.
Remember last year, because of the coronavirus rules, he played all of his games within these 8 cities in the eastern U.S., so they never crossed the border. So hopefully that will get him going. So the Capo Caco injury is a little bit concerning. He was at the end of the game on Saturday night. And again, I didn't see the injury when it happened. I was with you at an event.
Mhm.
But Capo Caco was injured, and Gerard Gallant came out at the end of the game and said he would be day to day. All right, not the end of the world. He'll miss a couple games here and there. And the Rangers don't play a ton. They're now off until Thursday. Well, then yesterday or Sunday night, he got moved to the IR, the injured reserve. So he's out at least a week, and it sounds like it may be a little bit more of an upper body injury. Now, when hockey players get injured, something extraordinarily frustrating. You either have an upper body injury or a lower body injury. That's all they say.
Mhm.
They don't tell you what it is. That's all they say. So upper body injury always has me worried about a concussion.
Okay.
That's always the fear.
Mhm.
Like, it's not really a broken nose because hockey players play with that.
Yeah.
So you hope that whatever the Capo Caco injury is, and again, they're not going to elaborate, this is the New York Rangers and this is hockey, is not serious. Ryan Strome remains in a COVID protocol. Hopefully, he will be back, I would assume, within a week. I just have to assume at this point that you have, like, if you're vaccinated, right, the way the world is, why would you be in COVID protocol?
The world is people who are vaccinated are getting COVID.
I know, which is my point with him. Like, I just feel like the only reason he can be in COVID protocol if you're vaccinated is because you tested positive.
Or like, like someone goes to like a party and they have to like bench for like 3 days or something. They like break COVID protocol, or they break one of the rules that like they have to be like quarantined for a day. Well, I got a question for you.
Yes.
So, one, how do we feel about the Toronto Maple Leafs? Are they like a top 10 team?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we beat their butts. Nice. And then two, with all these COVID protocols and injuries and stuff, the crybaby in wherever, Sylvester, Russia.
Oh, Kravtsov. Yeah.
Yes, he would have been on the team and probably
he would have been playing already. Which is why this whole thing, and it's typical Rangers, right? In the end, now again, hindsight is 2020. We didn't know who was going to get injured or get put in.
But you knew, like, people get hurt. People get
all the time. He would have been back already.
Yeah,
and he would have had a chance to show himself. So it's going to be interesting. The longer this goes, look.
Was it an English thing? Does he not speak well English?
I don't think the English.
They're going to Hartford.
You're going to Hartford. Which, by the way, there's a good pizza place near the arena where the Hartford Wolfpack play in downtown Hartford that I could send him to. But it's just now you sit here and you don't think he's ever going to play again in a New York Ranger uniform. I certainly don't. And now you've got to sit here and see what Chris Drury is going to be able to get for him, because it's a frustrating situation. And we would have thought, and Dan Rosen and I talked about it 2 weeks ago, was that Kravtsov, could figure out to be a very key point, key piece of the Ranger puzzle this year. Dan had said when he was on that, Kravtsov could be a third line guy. And then look at the Tampa Bay Lightning, I think was the example that Dan used, where they had the best third line in the league and they won the cup the last 2 years. The importance of the third line. Well, now he's sitting in Russia. So we'll see what's going to happen. The longer this goes on, though, you have to believe that it is let me repeat that. The longer that this goes on, the less likely he is to ever play for the Rangers again. Right?
Oh, I think it's pretty much done already.
Which is awful because this whole thing is just frustrating. And it would be typical New York Rangers also for them to trade him. And Vitaly Kravtsov is a really good player, like we all thought.
Well, I mean, he doesn't seem like he's like a team player.
No, it's frustrating. And the Rangers organization, one thing and we said this when Chris Drury was hired in the spring, is that Chris Drury does not say a lot. He's not a general manager that says a lot in the media. That's his style. That's fine. As fans, you don't like it because you kind of want to know what's going on, but that's his style. And he's certainly not going to say a lot here. So we are totally in the dark with this, with what they're going to do. And we'll see. So one thing I want to point out, and last night the Rangers got absolutely abused on this. And this has been an issue the last few years. And it was just glaringly awful last night that the commentators were talking about it. The Rangers can't win a goddamn face-off again.
Really?
Holy cow. I think every power play the Rangers had last night, there weren't many, but every power play they had, which starts now, the rule is your power play starts in the defensive zone. So starting in the Toronto zone. Yeah. Toronto won the face-off and cleared the puck right away. Kills 20 seconds. Can't win a face-off. And I felt like almost every offensive zone faceoff, the Rangers could not win. The overtime starts 3-on-3, right?
Mhm.
The key now in overtime, with it being 3-on-3, is possession, right? The first team that gets possession is going to have a good chance to do something and get a chance.
Mhm.
I said to Jess, hopefully we can start with possession. We can't start with possession. What happens? We're not even close on the faceoff. The Rangers cannot win a damn faceoff. Over the offseason, it came out. I don't know if we ever talked about it here. The Rangers had hired an ex-NHL linesman. I think it may have been Pierre Rassicote. I forgot which one it was. Over the offseason to work. Now, a linesman is the one that drops the puck.
Mhm.
He knows how to win faceoffs. He's responsible for them.
Yeah.
They
He's seeing
hired
millions
him.
of them a day.
Yeah. They hired him to teach the Rangers to help them improve their faceoff percentage. I don't know what the faceoff situation was last night, the final stats, but it should be 50-50.
At the very least.
Right? I'm gonna see if I can look here on our fresh we don't have the freshest of Wi-Fi. I'm not sure I want to risk it today.
No, you're not on my Wi-Fi. You can do it.
I'm on the fresh one.
No, I'm on the fresh one.
Okay.
You're on the guest.
So I want to see last night if it will come up the face-off percentage.
Well, you want a good face-off guy to win more than 50%.
They should.
Yeah, that's what you want.
But last night was, it was awful. to the again, Sam and Joe on the Ranger broadcaster kept talking about. All right, here we go. Oh my God,
10%.
no, this is really bad. All right, so last night there were a total of 54 faceoffs in the game.
Okay.
Toronto won 41 of them. That for 76%.
Wow.
Yeah, it was glaringly obvious. The Rangers won 24.1% of faceoffs last night. That is, it should be 50-50. But normally, if you look at a game stat, it usually ends up between like 55 and 60.
Well, it's not a coin flip. Like
not
if
a
you
coin
have
flip.
skill,
Right.
you're gonna win
And
more.
that's why it's usually 55 to 60. 60 at 3/4, 3 out of 4 is awful.
Yeah.
That's unacceptable.
Yeah.
Especially when you hire a linesman. What does a linesman teach?
Well, he must not be paying attention. He just drops the puck and runs.
That's awful. So a couple things from around the league before we shift gears to football. One of the questions came in was talk about the Devils. They how they started. Look, the Devils played one game. If I'm going to sit here and tell you that we're not going to make a big
the hatred.
it's not hatred. No, I'm just saying if we're not going to sit here and panic over the Rangers losing one game for opening night, which I thought was ridiculous. People were doing it. We're not going to anoint the Devils as the Stanley Cup champion. Now,
who'd they play?
They played Chicago. So there is a producer today in our studio, I see on the side, who is rocking a New Jersey Devils jersey.
Excited.
Are you going to the game tonight? He's not. He's just wearing it.
It's a game tonight.
He's just wearing it to kind of annoy me, I guess. But look, if you're the Devils, and I did watch some of this game, there are things that you like to see. Jack Hughes obviously scoring the overtime winner, and probably with the coolest celebration ever, just flipping the stick in the crowd. But there are things you like for the Devils. Now they'll play Seattle tonight, which they should win. Seattle got lit up last night in Philadelphia. So it's a back-to-back game. Mm-hmm. So look, the Devils, their schedule is very favorable in the beginning. They start with 5 at home. So you got to take advantage of that because at the end of the day, you're going to play 41 road and 41 home. So take advantage of being home for a while, build up on some wins. They get Seattle tonight. But again, we're not going to sit here. And I knew when the person asked me, they did it to annoy me, but I told them I would bring it up today, that we're not going to anoint the Stanley Cup to the Devils. So the Rangers will shift gears. They will go to Nashville on Thursday night. They continue their road trip. They go back actually across the border again to Ottawa on Saturday afternoon. And then they will return home next week for 2 games, a Monday night versus Calgary and Friday night versus Columbus before they head out west.
Nice.
All right.
So they have a nice little home stretch.
Right. So they're 4 games in, they're 2-1-1, meaning in layman's terms where it's important, they have 5 points out of a possible 8. Being that 3 were on the road, the road games are not easy. Washington, Toronto, Montreal, you take it. That's fine. All right. And you've also been dealing with injuries. That's fine. But let's just hope that the Vitaly Kravtsov situation somehow gets settled. And if you're going to have to trade him, Chris Drury, do something, or at least you bring something back in good. Because, as we said, typical Rangers, he's going to be good when he gets traded. You can mark that down. It's what always happens.
So, but say he can demand a trade. Is he saying he's not going to get on the ice?
He's saying he's not going to get on the ice, yes. It's that bad.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he's not Aaron Rodgers. Get out of here, bro.
He's not. So speaking of Aaron Rodgers, we'll shift gears. Thanks for the little segue there. That wasn't rehearsed. We're gonna switch gears and move over to football, and we're gonna bring in one of our favorite football insiders, and that is Paul Farrington of the Paul Farrington Show. How are you, Paul?
Hey guys, how you doing? Doing well.
We are good. We are good. A little cold here, right? It's like football weather all of a sudden today.
It's freezing. You know, I will say though, I'm surprised you guys don't have the Devils going to the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, I tell you, it's shocking.
I'm thinking you should give Jack Hughes the Hart Trophy right now, and I hope that's
Absolutely.
Brian in the Devils jersey.
It is B-Rock in the Devils shirt here. It is for sure. So let's go here. We'll shift gears. We'll keep you focused on football, not hockey, because we don't want to anoint the Devils in their Stanley Cup parade right now. So let's start here. We're going to start with the AFC today. I read something a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, that Stephen A. Smith of ESPN said the Chiefs are done. They are not going to be the same, and you can write them off. Are you writing the Chiefs off, or are they still a dangerous threat?
Look, there's obviously been some defensive regression with this team, I think, whether that's players injured or guys who have left from free agency last year. It's not the same team, if that's the question, but I'm not writing Kansas City off by any means. They're still scoring at an extremely high rate. They've been pretty efficient. The turnovers aren't good with Mahomes at the moment, but a lot of those, there's been at least 3 or 4 drop passes that have led to interceptions. So I'm not writing Kansas City off. We're in week 6. Like it's too early for that for me.
Yeah, no, and someone I kind of know their offense well because Mahomes is my fantasy quarterback and I have Kelsey as the tight end. So I do know how dangerous they can be and they can score points. So they'll be fine. So the AFC North, a really, really good division at the moment this year. If you look across the division, you have the Ravens at 5-1. You have the Bengals at 4-2. They play each other this weekend. The Browns and the Steelers, 1 game behind that, 3-3. Is there a chance that the Bengals, the Bungles as they're called, as people make fun of them, at 4-2, can they somehow win the AFC North?
I'm going to say no. I think Baltimore is better than them. I think Cleveland is better than them as well. We'll see how the Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt injuries work out because without them, Cleveland takes a pretty significant hit. But we'll find out a lot this weekend, won't we? Like if they go in, if they beat Baltimore, all of a sudden now the entire discussion changes around Cincinnati if they beat Baltimore. But with the way the Ravens are playing right now, I don't see it happening.
Yeah, and the Ravens are weird because on one hand, you look at them last week, right? And it's like, wow, they had to come back against the Colts on Monday Night Football. It just wasn't that impressive. And then this past weekend, this was one of my picks in the NFL games that we do. The Chargers red hot going across the country and they shut them down. So it's like you never really kind of know what Raven team you're going to get going forward here. So, all right. So in the AFC then, and now maybe Monday Night Football changed this a little bit last night. You have the Bills at 4-2. You have the Chargers at 4-2. You have the Ravens at 5-1 and the Titans at 4-2. Who is the AFC team to beat?
At the moment, I'm going to stay with Buffalo. I'm going to stay with Buffalo right now. 8 times out of 10, I think they convert. Maybe 9 times out of 10, they convert that last night, go on to win that game. And look, number 1 defense in football. Josh Allen's playing like an MVP. But I'd put the Ravens right behind him at 2 at the moment. Because Lamar's passing. He's throwing for 280 yards a game. They find ways to win, the Ravens. Whether or not it's impressive, they got guys. Justin Tucker hits the 66-yard field goals. Lamar gets the first down on 4th and 1. So to me, those 2, that's 1 and 2. And I would not be surprised at all if Kansas City enters the discussion later in the season.
Yeah, the AFC, I mean, really both conferences for that matter have some really good teams this year. So the playoffs, even though we're still 2.5 months away from it, certainly look like it'll be entertaining with a lot of good games. So shifting gears to the NFC. Now the NFC, you have the Cowboys at 5-1. You have the Cowboys, the Packers, and the Bucks all at 5-1. And the Cardinals at 6-0. So you've got 4 really, really good teams. Although I don't know how much I'm on the Packers at the moment, even though they're 5-1. I think some of that has to do with the schedule. Who do you like in the NFC out of those four teams? Who is the cream of the crop?
Well, look, for the past week or so, I work with the Volume, the Colin Coward's company, so I'm on Zoom calls with them. And Colin loves the Cowboys right now. Nick Wright's on as a guest. He's saying they're the best team in the league. I'm gonna say not so fast. I'm gonna pull a Lee Corso, not so fast with Dallas. Like, they're a good team, but I'm not gonna anoint them the best in the NFC. It's hard not to pick Arizona right now, just because what they're doing to teams, what they're doing to the Browns, what they're doing to the Rams, good teams, blowing them out.
Yeah.
I like Arizona, but here's what I will say: I put Arizona as the top team, but there's a one-game play. Like, it's a one-game playoff in the NFL essentially. You know, you lose, you're out. I'm taking the Bucs. I'm taking the Bucs over them right now, just because I trust Brady more. Leonard Fournette's starting to step up. So I think statistically, you got to say the Cardinals are the best. But when it comes down to it, I think the Bucs would beat them in the playoff game.
Yeah, what's interesting about the Cardinals to me is last week, if you go back to, I guess 2 weeks ago now, the 49ers at home, the 49ers kind of held the offense. They didn't really score that many points, the Cardinals, but yet they still found a way to win, right? So it's finding ways to win in different situations that, you never know what you're going to have to do on each given day to get a win. But yeah, it's hard to go against Tom Brady and the Bucs. And the other thing there with that offense, and Fournette is a great point, but you've still got Godwin and Evans and Antonio Brown. And again, I know this selfishly because he's on my fantasy team, is also now, it's kind of regained his form. I mean, he's really been putting together some good games. He had another good game up Thursday night in Philly. So
it's hard to stop him, right? It's just hard to stop Tampa Bay.
Yeah, it is. So right now you would say, as we're at the 1/3 mark in the season, that if you were picking your Super Bowl right now, it would be the Bills and the Bucs, right?
Yeah. I know I kind of cheated there with the Cardinals Bucs, but I would pick the Bucs.
No, it's not. Look, I would think that if the Cardinals and the Buccaneers played today in the NFC Championship game, I'm pretty sure the Buccaneers would be favorites. So I wouldn't say you're cheating. I think you're going with a smart pick. Although you're right, in a one-game playoff, you never really know what's going to happen. All right. So this show is out of Bergen County, New Jersey, which I know you live in as well. So the two local football teams here, the Giants and the Jets, are abysmal. I mean, it's like it just gets worse and worse. Dougie Sticks and I last week argued about the Rams being a 10-point favorite, and they won by 35. I mean, that's just how bad.
Where you posted yesterday was hilarious. I think I showed Brian or Connor the Jets bye week scores.
Yes. The Jets bye week.
That was really funny. That was a great post.
The bye week
that was a
scored
great
30,
post.
And the Jets scored 27. There may be some truth to that. As I told you, I responded to you. Where's the lie in that?
Yeah.
All right. So I want you to be like the voice of hope. Our producer B-Rock before said that the priest in the church that he goes to, he's spotted around town where the church is, wearing the Giants jersey every week, even though the Giants are awful, that he has faith, right? I mean, there's a play on words there. He's the only one that has the faith in the Giants. I want you, and we'll start with the Giants, and then we'll go to the Jets. Give me something positive for each fan base. Maybe it's a player you like. Let's start with the Giants.
Look, guys, I thought long and hard about the Giants. Like, I'm not lying here when I say I spent probably a good 45 minutes to an hour really thinking about something good for the Giants. I think the best thing is that they're going to have a pretty damn high draft pick, and that's. And then the question to me around them right now is, at what point do you blow it up? And you guys, you follow them closer than I do. I'm a Vikings fan, so I know a whole different kind of misery. But when do you blow it up? Like, are you guys sick and tired of it?
Well, I would say this, and I think this was discussed. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Dave Gettleman is going to have a very hard time blowing it up because he's basically admitting that Daniel Jones was a mistake, which was completely his call to make that draft pick. So I don't know if it's going to get blown up under Dave Gettleman. You may have to get rid of Dave Gettleman to blow it up. And that probably is the right move because clearly what they have right now is not working. All right. So the Giants are going to get a high draft pick. What is the positive side of things for the New York Jets?
All right. So I got two for the Jets. The Jets was a little easier. One is that this season you have all the time in the world. Like, nothing matters too much this season for the Jets. Like, as long as Zach Wilson continues to improve, which he has, like, he throws 5 interceptions in a game, so what? Like, he's a rookie. Things happen like that. Just don't let it happen in week 15, week 16. The good news, though, is that offensive line is really improving. And Elijah Vera-Tucker looks like he was a hit. I think he allowed 3 or 4 sacks. He allowed a bunch of sacks and QB hits first 3 weeks. Zero the past 2. And if you're able to have a strong offensive line, that's really the catalyst a lot of times for these offenses in the NFL to take off. Like, as a Viking fan, I know that bad offensive line play can ruin a season. And the Jets right now seem like they have a few guys. If Becton can get healthy, it's not the worst thing in the world right now being a Jets fan. I'll say it.
No, the worst thing in the world may be being a Giants fan right now. Flip side of that. But it's just, the picture here for both of the teams is just awful.
Oh, it's brutal. No, it's really bad.
But as a Viking fan, I watched on Sunday. I got home and I watched like bonus coverage of the fourth quarter. So I saw Carolina, Sam Darnold leaves them on like a 90-yard drive. Then they get the 2-point conversion. I'm like, oh, ridiculous. My goodness. But they had the missed field goal, right? And it looks like everything is going towards Carolina's way. And then, look, they look well. The winning touchdown, long pass where the guy hit the pylon there in overtime the other day. That's a big win. You beat the Lions the week before. Maybe you don't like the fact that it was only by 2 against the Vikings, but hey, a win's a win. You beat the Seahawks. It's gotten a little bit better since you were on our show last.
I'm telling you guys, the Lions game and the Panther game, I think the Vikes were up by 11 with 6 minutes left. Like I went to the grocery store. I went shopping right after one of our podcasts was live. I was like, oh, this game's over. We had the ball with I think 4 minutes left. And I get a text like, you watching the game? What game are you talking about? It's like Vikings. The Lions are going for 2 to tie it. So I watched the final 2.5 minutes of the game in the grocery store, like aisle 8, like walking up and down, pacing. And they make it hard every week, guys. I'm telling you, it's not an easy thing.
It's not an easy thing. Well, your next game, I know they're on a bye this week, and then they actually are the Sunday night game in a couple of weeks, which is a great game versus the Cowboys at home. That should be a good one. So, well, thank you for your time, Paul. Come back and see us again soon. We will have plenty of NFL questions in the coming weeks. And thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
sir.
guys. Appreciate it. Always fun talking with you.
Thanks, Paul. That is Paul Farrington of the Paul Farrington Show. Look, he's not wrong when he says that the optimistic thing, if you're a Giants fan, is you're going to get a high draft pick. Right?
What are we going to get? A lineman? What are we going to get?
I don't know.
You should have never benched Eli.
But Eli, look, Eli is older. Eli wouldn't be the long-term answer right now.
I'm not saying he's a long-term answer, but maybe Danny would have had a little more time to grow. I don't know. Aaron Rodgers was on the bench for like how many years?
As I've told you,
Jimmy Garoppolo was on the bench how many years?
That's true. But I've said it before with Daniel Jones.
Mm-hmm.
How many good football players come from Duke? Great basketball players. Zion,
Even
RJ
more
Barrett.
reason.
Okay.
You're proving my point, bro.
Okay. Bro.
Even more reason.
Okay. All right.
Eli should have had his farewell tour. You should have seen how it's done by one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever live.
Well, didn't happen that way. So, are you ready for NFL picks?
Let's do it.
Last week, we went into the week 4-1. We had a very, very bad week. It was bound to happen. As we talk about face-offs, like, 50-50, then maybe you kind of deviate a little bit, 60-40. We were having a roll. We were due for a bad one.
Okay.
And we had a bad one. So let's start with the one we had right. It actually started out great. We took the Jaguars on Sunday morning in London +3, and they ended up winning the game outright.
Nice.
So we went into really the 1 o'clock time frame.
Yeah.
1-0.
1-0.
We only had the 2
Started
or
the day
4.
strong.
And then it just all went wrong. We had the Lions +3 at 3.5 at home for Cincinnati. That wasn't even close. We had the Texans +10 at the Colts. That wasn't even close. Mm-hmm. We had the Panthers -1 at home versus Minnesota. That wasn't close. Minnesota won. Mm-hmm. And then we had the Chargers getting 3.5 at the Ravens. That wasn't close. We were just off. Yeah. Bad week. Yeah. So you know what we do?
Yeah, what we do?
We
bring it back.
We forget about it. We take the piece of paper with the picks on it. We rip it up. We put it in a fire if you have a little fire pit outside.
Yeah.
And we move on to week 7 in the NFL. We're 4 up and 2 down. It's a big week. You ready?
I'm going to pull it up, yeah.
Are you pulling up your picks?
I'm going to pull up the just so I can see on my DraftKings.
Okay. Here we go.
Yes.
Here we go. So these are your week 7 picks for Mind Your Fucking Business. Give me the Chiefs -4 at the Titans. The Titans, nice win last night. They're 4-2. The Chiefs, though, need to win, and they are the better team. And the offense has played well. They need to kind of control the turnovers a little bit and get the defense a little bit sorted out here. But give me the Chiefs -4 at Tennessee. That the danger there is Derrick Henry, as we saw last night. But I'm taking the Chiefs -4 at Tennessee.
Okay.
The Bengals in this AFC North showdown, the Bengals are +6.5 at Baltimore. Do I think the Bengals can win the game? Yeah, they can. Do I think they will? No. 6.5 is a lot of points to get. So I'm taking the Bengals plus 6.5 in Baltimore. Give me the Eagles plus 3.5 at Las Vegas. Las Vegas played well in Denver, but again, we were saying on the show for weeks, Denver started 3-0 because they played the Giants, the Jaguars, and the Jets. So I'm not really buying that. I'm taking the Eagles plus 3.5. I'm getting more than a field goal, and Jalen Hurts is playing well. So give me the Eagles plus 3.5 out in Sin City, Las Vegas. The Colts. I'm going to do something I don't usually like to do with the next two picks, and that's I'm taking the Sunday night game and the Monday night game.
Wow.
Give me on Sunday night the Colts plus 3.5 at the 49ers. The Colts maybe have gotten it figured out last week. Even though they beat Houston, was not great. They played really well. Jonathan Taylor now seems to be doing well. Plus 3.5. I'm getting coverage with the field goal. Give me them plus 3.5. I'm taking the Monday night game. I am surprised at this line, I'm going to say. The Seahawks plus 4.5 at home versus the New Orleans Saints. Yes, Russell Wilson is hurt. Yes, Chris Carson may not play. But you know what? The other day, the Seahawks didn't look bad in Pittsburgh. They could have easily won that game. And New Orleans is so Jekyll and Hyde of every team. You never know what you're going to get. Now I get the Seahawks at home, and I'm getting 4.5 points. Yeah, that's a lot. I'm taking that.
Yeah.
So to recap, the Week 7 picks, the Chiefs -4 at Tennessee, the Bengals plus 6.5 at Baltimore, the Eagles plus 3.5 at Sin City Raiders, the Colts plus 3.5 Sunday night out in San Francisco against the 49ers, and the Seahawks plus 4.5 at home Monday night versus the Saints. We need to pick the local game.
Yes.
So the Jets are what? I believe they are plus 7 up in Foxborough against the Patriots.
Are 7 against the Patriots.
Who are you taking? I'm going to take the Jets at 7.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the Jets.
Yeah,
I don't
I
know
think
that they'll
they
win.
Yeah, I think they could keep it close.
Yeah,
even though they know that Patriots gave Dallas a run for their money.
The Jets are also coming off a bye. Just for some reason, I think 7 is a lot. I mean, they could win that game. I wouldn't be shocked. The Patriots are not the Patriots of the old, but 7's a lot. I'm taking the Jets. Do you agree with me on that?
Yeah.
Here's the next one. Next one's a little bit tricky. I'm surprised at the line, I guess. The Giants are home versus the Panthers. The Giants are plus 3.
I mean, Sam Donald's coming home.
Well, he's coming home, but he's
the same
to
home.
a different team. Yes,
It's the same home.
he's coming home just to a different.
I want to take it. I want to take the Giants plus 3, but I just feel like the Giants are stinking it up the place.
I'm not touching it. So I'm taking. So I'm with you. So we're both taking the Jets plus 7 and the Panthers.
Yeah, sorry, not sorry.
All right. So those are our picks for the day.
Yeah.
Do we have?
Yes, we do.
So we're going to bring in Tom Rahelski from Sonnet Financial. He's going to come in here in a moment. Anything on the other any other news football wise you want to talk about?
I made a couple last minute bets while he's sitting down.
How'd you do?
I did quite well.
Although you did lose, I heard, on the 2-point conversion on Thursday night.
Yes, that was what game?
That was that was the Buccaneers and the
Yes. The Buccaneers Eagles game. A stupid 2-point conversion loses me $40.
That's usually what happens.
Yes, but I did do nicely on. I got this. I had the Seahawks. I had Dallas, Arizona.
Did you have Dallas with the points or on the money line?
No, with the points, -4.
So they did cover, right? Because they won by 6.
covered.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good for you.
a nice little coin.
So you know what? Maybe if I we may need you to reinvigorate the picks if we have a bet
Okay.
again
All
this
right.
week.
All right. Well,
We'll have you-
I'll electrify the picks.
We'll have you be the savior.
Okay, I'll save the seat. Well, we're still doing it. We're in good shape.
We're 4-2. Hey,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, there's
Yes.
7. It's now a 18-week season because they added the extra week, right? If we could get more win, all we have to do is have more winning weeks than losing weeks, and we made money like we did last year.
What are we
That's
at
it.
right now?
We're 4-2.
Yeah.
4 winning weeks, 2 losing
Good.
weeks.
It's not bad.
You just got to stop the bleeding right now after this past week before it gets really, really bad.
Yeah,
Because once you get into that, once it starts, the luck turns. It can turn quick. So,
absolutely.
how are we, Tom?
We're doing great. Thanks, Jeff.
I have to say,
Having me.
aren't you cold in the shirt tonight? It's freezing.
I'm actually absolutely freezing. Yes.
Yeah.
Today I had my sweater and a hoodie when I was in the green room, and now I'm freezing. So it'll be a quick segment today.
Here you go. Today was the first day that I did
Gotta
not
turn
walk.
the heat on, maybe.
Yeah, today was the first day I did not walk the kids to school. We actually drove today because I walked out and it was like all of a sudden we're in Green Bay.
Yeah.
So Tom, I'll hand it over to you for the Sonnet Financial Tip of the Week.
Yeah, thanks for having me again, Jeff. So last week we talked about small businesses and, and some tips on starting your business and putting together a business plan. And actually I looked a little more into it, and on average it takes about 6 days to start a new business in the United States. Would you want to know how long it is on average in, let's say, if you were in China?
Oh, like 6 years, because it's communist.
Yeah.
You have to like probably ask for permission like
Yeah.
20 times.
They've gotten better. It's on average 38 days to
All right,
open
all right.
up your own business in China. New Zealand is number one. It only takes 1 day to set up a business. So if you're a New Zealander or a Kiwi, I guess that's what they call them, right? You can start, if you want to start a business, boom, you can start up the next day.
Nice.
There's also costs involved. So on average, it costs about $300 to start a business in the United States. You know, you can get it around that pretty cheaply, you know, doing legal Zoom and legal shield and things like that. In India, it costs about $2,000 to start your own business. That's crazy.
Where does that go into?
I don't know, corrupt politicians probably, unfortunately. Yeah. So you know, the bet is here in the United States, you can start a business. Once you do set the process and get everything going, now you have your business running. What about your liability, right? What happens? You know, are you setting yourself up for potential legal liability? You know, when you work for a corporation, you get hurt, you get workers' comp, everything's covered, you're taken care of by the corporation.
Mm-hmm.
But as a small business owner, you have to consider the liabilities and how to protect yourself. So most insurance companies already have kind of a simple plan. It's called a BOP, B-O-P, and that's a business owner's plan. So, you know, obviously BOPs have different, you know, riders and things like that. But most importantly, BOPs usually cover 3 major categories. First is, you know, fire and property insurance. So almost like renter's insurance. You know, you see the Geico commercials, you know, renter's insurance. So for example, Doug, if this building burns down, how are you going to replace all these very expensive cameras? Yeah. So BOP is almost like a renter's insurance for a small business owner. So if you have a BOP, all this laptop, all this
Dude,
equipment,
stop putting that juju out in the atmosphere. All this laptop, these cameras, the audio equipment, all of this. The TV.
This is all going to be gone.
Shut up.
I tell you, man, if we're not here next week, Tom, you're gonna have
Jesus, you're paying for it.
It'd be a shame, Doug, if all this burned down, right?
Let me ask you.
Ghost Talk's replacing it if it does.
Let me ask you a question, Tom, on one thing you said before. So when I started my business back in 2005, legal Zooms and all those things in the world did not exist. So we had to go through like an accountant, and that's pricey.
Oh, yeah.
You had to go through a lawyer, and that's pricey. So now when I consult with a lot of my locations around the country where they're starting their own business, I say to them, I'm like, look, you don't understand how easy you have it. You go on LegalZoom, and these people have the paperwork in 3 weeks, and it's $100.
Yeah.
I'm like, it used to be like $1,500, $2,000.
Oh, my God.
And was a process. So LegalZoom and some of these other sites that you mentioned really have kind of made it easier for someone wanting to start a business.
Absolutely. And now the websites are easy. You know, GoDaddy, they have the templates. So you literally just have to put in you don't even need your logo. You just put in your name, your business, and they'll pre-populate the website for you. They'll even ask you, are you opening up a store, a consulting company, or an online store, or whatever business? And they already have the pre-made websites.
Yeah.
So you can have it all done. So you can start.
My biggest piece of advice on the websites that I say to people all the time is you can have the best website in the world. You could hire the best graphic person, all that stuff. If you don't have SEO and search engine optimization behind it, it doesn't matter because no one's going to see it.
Yeah.
So you got to make sure you have good SEO behind it. I
Yeah.
say that to my people all the time.
Yes, undefeated media.
Yes.
Absolutely.
you know, contact.
You can have a great rooftop event if nobody knows about
Yes,
it, right?
yes,
You know,
yes.
we're just going to show it to them.
Absolutely.
But Undefeated Media does a good job promoting those events, like
Yeah.
the one they did this past weekend, right? They had
Yes,
a
donuts for dogs.
Donuts
yes,
for dogs.
For
Yes,
dogs.
that
Little
was
charity
cool.
event.
Was it donuts like that dogs could eat, or was it donuts that adults?
No, it was real donuts for real people. It was like a school
And you didn't-
project.
What time out? This was 2 days. You didn't bring any in the studio tonight.
No, you
ate 'em
you
all.
made a donation. You got a donut.
Oh, is
I didn't
that
get
how-
a box of donuts,
Okay, I didn't know
even
how
though I donated like 10. I bought all the toys from Walgreens and I brought them over there.
Look at you.
It was this kid's school project. I helped the kids out. It's for the kids.
36, give them
Kids.
back.
I tell you,
Yeah.
give them back.
Always
Yeah.
give them back.
Well,
Always give them back.
So there are some other parts of the BOP too. So obviously, we had the big storm a month ago. So it's called business interruption insurance.
Ooh.
So God forbid, so the rain comes down and floods
All
your
right, can we
studio.
not use my studio as the example? Let's use Ghost Talk as the example.
So if you can no longer brew beer, right?
Yep.
Business continuity insurance will pay you. Say, all right, well, you don't need to make $5,000 a month in revenue. We'll cover you for that month. And if you have to move your business, they might even cover your rental. If you have to just go to a small studio just to rent for a month or two, they'll even pay you a couple bucks to, almost like when you have car insurance and you get the rental reimbursement. It's almost the same concept as that. And also, it gives you personal liability insurance. If you've heard of umbrella policies,
Yes,
in case your home, somebody hurts himself in your home and they get hurt by $1 million and you only have 500,000 coverage, the umbrella covers above that. Usually most BOPs have a built-in coverage on top of that. But what they don't cover are errors and omissions. So if you are an accountant and you mess up somebody's taxes, right? Your BOP most likely won't cover that because it's a professional liability insurance. That usually costs extra.
So Dougie wouldn't need that because he's perfect, right?
Yes,
doesn't need
he
it.
never makes a mistake. Right?
That's not something Dougie would need.
Don't like to brag.
And of course, it doesn't cover workman's comp. That's always an extra insurance policy you have to get as a business owner. It doesn't cover insurance, health insurance, disability, business auto, and stuff like that. But it also doesn't cover data leakage. So if you are an accountant, you want to protect your client's privacy. But most insurance companies offer that as a very simple, low-cost rider for like $10 a year. You protect it there. And of course, outdoor property doesn't cover that. And also what they call valuable or key man insurance. So let's say one of your workers here, Doug, if they're gone, you can't run the business anymore, right? Key man insurance will help cover that while they're gone. And another last insurance I'll mention is called a buy-sell agreement. Buy-sell agreement. So let's say you have a business partner, Doug, right? Mm-hmm. Or let's say for this podcast, it's a very valuable podcast in the future. Doug, you're getting married.
It already is.
Yes. and Doug, unfortunately, something happens to you, right?
Why is it always got to happen to me?
Something happens to you, Doug, right? You are engaged, right? Wedding's around the corner, and your fiance is a lovely lady, but I'm sure Jeff doesn't want to have to deal with her, figuring out the revenue split on the podcast in the future, right? So a buy-sell agreement, you kind of make up what you think the value of your business is, and you buy insurance on each other. So Jeff would get an insurance policy on you, and you would do vice versa. So if something happens to you, your wife, she just gets bought out. Or something happens to Jeff, his significant other gets bought out, and then the company gets 100% inherited by the other company. So that's something important to consider, right?
Well, thank you. And the other night we were ghosting, so there's a big thing in our town with like the kids that you ghost their friends, like you ring the bell and you run and you leave candy. And as we were driving, this massive black cat ran in front of my car. I was like, oh my God, it's like a demon, like an omen. Yeah. Now we're talking about this. Like,
yeah,
I tell you, man, it's 2 things in a week. I'm not coming out until after Halloween. Well, thank you, Tom, as always. And we thank Sonnet Financial Technology.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having me.
And this was a very long episode today. I'm looking at the counter. I'm like, oh my God, 54 minutes. It's unbelievable. Well, thanks for tuning in, everyone. As always, you can send your questions along at mypbshow@gmail.com. And if you want to send more questions about the Devils winning the Stanley Cup after one night to that address like they were, we can take them there. Anything else from you, Doug or Tom? Any other parting thoughts?
No, I was just going to say these are all great. And it is very easy to start your business. But we got to remember, you got to put the work in because like 98% of all businesses fail in the first 3 years.
Yeah, actually, I have the
exactly
right. So 50% of small businesses collapse after the first 5 years. 50%.
So you know what? That can be viewed as glass half empty or full, right? That can scare people. Or
well, you just complained about the winning the face-offs of 50%.
What? Right, but if 50% succeed, that's a pretty high success rate.
Yeah, and then after you survive 5 years, then your percentage of survival goes up to 70%. So that first 5 years, that's a critical 5 years. You got to put in the work. You got to put your nose to the grindstone, hustle hard, make sure your website's good, you're focused on your SEO,
Absolutely,
and
Yeah, contact Undefeated Media for that.
Yes.
Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. We will see you next week, and we'll get you updated on Ranger Week 2, and we'll stay focused on our NFL picks, and hopefully we turn a corner this week. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, buddy.